Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you could join us. We're going to be talking today about some things, administrative tasks and features that typically are done at the start of a new school year. Before we get into that, just to mention the various programs that are available within Read Live. Our flagship program is Read Naturally Live, which focuses on fluency and phonics, comprehension, vocabulary, and spelling. Word Warm-Ups Live is a phonics and decoding program. Starts with letter sounds and goes all the way through multisyllabic words. So there's 3 levels in that. 1 Minute Reader is our independent program. It goes from first through mid 5th grade level, working on fluency, comprehension with support for vocabulary. And then if you're teaching students to read in Spanish, we have the Spanish version of Read Naturally Live. And again, all our interventions with the exception of 1 Minute Reader. So these 4 programs are available within Read Live, and students use any combination of them, 1, 2, 3, or even all 4. Any student can have access to any number of them in any combination. So our agenda today is we're going to be talking primarily about getting the school year started, getting familiar with your account, and getting things set up properly for your staff and students. We're going to begin with talking about optimizing your staff member module. We'll talk about some account maintenance issues and topics. Then we'll get into licenses and lead teachers, and then have a few additional tools for you at the end. So with regards to optimizing your staff member module, we do have 2 separate handouts that are available with this presentation. One of them is your resources guide, which is a 3-page sheet that follows along in the order in which we're going to go. But the handout that has a copy of a slide from every section that we go into is another handout. And that tends to be what people follow along with during the presentation. I'm going to spend the majority of the session in the actual program. So the slide handout has screenshots of the program. So you can follow along with the presentation as I go, even when I'm in the demonstration mode within the actual Read Live account. There will be screenshots that mirror what I'm talking about. That 3-page resource is really a tool for you to be able to take back with you when you go to do these tasks on your own. You can have that as your guide to jog your memory as to what we discussed today. So I'm going to pop out of the PowerPoint now for the first time, and I'm going to log in as a staff member. I'm currently logging in as an admin, because most of these topics we're going to be talking about today are account administrator tasks, things that the account administrator can do. When you log in as an account administrator or as a school coordinator, you are given a multi-factor authentication request. And so an email will go to your email account that we have on file within your Read Live account. And that code will be sent via email to you, and you can put it in to this box as soon as you receive it. It is an email that goes immediately. I already have that number. If you are not receiving that email, please contact us and we can help solve the problem for you. As of right now, administrators and school coordinators will have to do this multi-factor authentication every time they log in, but next week you won't. You'll only have to do it once when you come to a new device, and then you can save that information on that device. So again, an email is going to be sent to the account Read Live has on file. And if you struggle, if you're not receiving that email within a minute or two, please do reach out to us. So I'm entering my code here, and it logs me in to our main page. So what I'm going to start with is on the home page, you're going to notice that there are several tiles. These tiles can be accessed by clicking right on the square or by this drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner. If you notice, they follow the same order that they appear on your screen. So we're going to start with Account and School Administration tile. If you put your eyes in the upper left corner, you can see their account ID number is listed. We also have an account license summary telling you how many are in your account, how many are available, and when your expiration date is. If you come down to this bottom portion on the left side where account settings are, you can adjust your name if you need to. So if there's something that's changed about the account, maybe it went from a school account to a whole district account and you want that name to reflect that, you can do that from within this spot. You can also select a main account contact if that changes. Anyone who's an account administrator within the account would appear in this drop-down box, okay? Now I'd like you to move your eyes over to the center column where we see schools listed. And within the schools that are listed, you can see that we have an Add Schools button. If you click on that button, you can add any new school that is going to be utilizing the program. And what you're going to need to decide at that point is whether or not you allow schools to use any licenses available within the account, or if you want to reserve a specific number of licenses for that specific school. The easiest way from a management standpoint is to just let anyone take any license that's available. That's the simplest from an upkeep standpoint. However, sometimes the districts have rules against that, and they say that nope, each school gets exactly this many, or this school gets 50 and that school gets 30, and we don't want that to change. So it's just up to you, but that feature and that flexibility is available within here. And there is an explanation about that right on this right-hand side. I'm going to leave without saving, and I want you to then bring your eyes into the section where you see these schools listed. I just showed you how to add them. You can also delete them. You can see there's this column on the right-hand side that allows for deleting schools. Schools do need to have, can't have licenses assigned to students in order to delete them. So that might be something you have to do in order to be allowed to do that. When you click on on the name of a school, you are allowed to edit that, and then you can make an adjustment to this licensing feature, whether or not they can take anyone or have them reserved. So this is something you can change and adjust at any time. Another thing I want you to notice is that we have sorting and filtering options on every page. Most of them look like this one does in the upper left-hand corner. See how there's 3 horizontal lines next to the heading school? If I click on the heading school, it will sort ascending, descending, alphabetical order. Okay, so if you were to have 50 schools on this list, you might want to do that. You also might want to only pull up one school. So if you were to take just the first couple letters of the name of a school and click apply, now you can see that just that school is listed. There's a funnel next to the school heading telling you there's a filter on that column. If you click those horizontal lines again and hit reset, then all of your schools will return to that list. These horizontal lines for filtering and clicking on the heading for sorting is available under almost every single one of our tiles within Read Live. So whether you're viewing students or you're viewing staff or you're viewing schools, you can sort and filter in that way. There is one exception to that. So I'm going to navigate over to the home page. And I want you to bring your eyes down to the lower left side where my cursor is circling to the student activity tile. Those of you who are returning Read Live users, you might realize this looks a little different than it used to. This is where all 4 of those programs that are available within Read Live live. Instead of having a separate tile for each of the programs, it's going to have all the programs and all the functionality for all the programs under this tile. So this is where teachers live. So if you are someone who's an account administrator and you work with students, you will be in this place a lot. I want you to notice in the upper left-hand corner, there's an application-specific action button. So clicking on that has the 4 different programs listed. The caret to the right of the title of the program allows you to select many different tasks and features that are available for each of the programs. Okay, so look for these carets. That means it can expand. The next thing I want you to notice is that there's a little magnifying glass next to the words choose students to view. That is how you sort and filter under this tile. So under student activity, we don't have the heading columns with the 3 horizontal lines that I mentioned before. Instead, we have the ability to search through this function that allows you to search for a wide range of aspects of the student. But before I show you that, I just want you to notice that underneath that choose students to view is an oval that says lead teacher, K, comma, Michelle. That means that the only students that are being viewed right now are Michelle's. So if I get rid of that, notice when I hover over the X, you can see that little pop-up box that says close breadcrumb. If I get rid of that, now all the students who have a license in Read Live will appear on this list. It's not all the students who are in the account. It is all the students who have been given a license are now on this list. If I want to narrow it down, I can pick students to view. And as you can see, I can fill in as few or as many of these fields as I want. Obviously, to narrow it at all, I need to fill in at least one field. So if we come in here and select a grade and click search, now only my 4th grade students are appearing. When I need them all to come back on, I can get rid of that filter and they will all return to the screen. Okay. So that covers this first section of optimizing your staff member module. And now we are going to go on to account maintenance. And if you look at your 3-page sheet, account maintenance, it's on that top of that second page is where this resource for you when you go back to utilize this on your own. But in your handout that follows the slides, what you are going to see is this program again. So we're going to navigate out of the PowerPoint and once again back into the Read Live account. I'm going to bring myself back to the home page so that we all know exactly where we are. This is what we call the home page. It has the ability to get to any of these different locations. What we're going to talk about now has to do with your account maintenance, and it's going to be under student administration and then new school year administration. Notice in the lower right-hand column, that bottom box says new school year administration. If you do not have this box when you log in, it is because you don't have administrative, you're not a staff member who's an administrator. You're maybe a teacher, so you are unable to do this feature. I'm going to click on new school year administration and let you see what is in there. This is what is done before students and teachers get into the account. What you can do with just one click is advance all your students by 1 grade. You can remove all homeroom assignments, and then you can either remove licenses and lead teachers from all students, or you can retain licenses and lead teachers for all students. Okay, so if you're in a setting where most of the students are coming back and you don't have the same special education teacher, then you are likely to say, we're just going to let them keep their licenses and lead teachers. If many are new, many are switching teachers, then you are likely to want to remove licenses and lead teachers. The caution with this is if your teachers have already been in the account making adjustments to their students, you do not want to do this one-click option. You can still do these tasks. In fact, you can still do them en masse, meaning you can still do it to multiple students at a time, but you can't do it to all students with 1 click. Okay, so you need to kind of take a look at your account and your colleagues who have been using the account and see, have they already been in there and made changes to students' records, made changes to students' licensing and lead teachers. If they haven't, go ahead and proceed with this. If they have, then you're going to want to deal with that in a little bit different way. So what we're going to talk about now has to do with licenses and lead teachers. There's a couple ways that you can do that mass adjustment that I will show you now, as well as assigning licenses and adding new students, and assigning teachers and adding new students. And assigning lead teachers has a small change for this year, or actually a fairly significant change that I will show you when we get in there. So again, I'm going to go back to that home page by clicking on that picture of the house in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm going back to student administration because I'm talking about student licenses. Teachers don't need licenses. Staff members don't need licenses, only students. So I'm going to click on student administration. And this time I'm going to start with looking at student licensing. When I click on student licensing, because this account has multiple schools, I need to select the school in my drop-down menu. And here I can see at Northview are all of the students who are in the account at Northview. Take your eyes across the heading where my cursor is going to the right-hand side where you see RNL license. Some students are licensed, some students are not. So every student who has been added to the account for Northview Elementary is listed in here. You can take, let's say we want to take all of the fifth graders. Let's say this is a K-5 building. I want to take all of those fifth graders and remove their licenses because they're not at this building anymore. I can select the top student on that list while holding the shift key down, select the bottom student on that list, and it will highlight everybody. And I can, with one click, remove licenses, change lead teachers, okay? Or you can do it just one at a time. Okay. Notice you can sort and filter by lead teacher, by whether or not they're licensed, by their grade, their homeroom, their first name, their last name. So all sorts of different ways that you can sort that. I am going to get rid of this filter by clicking reset on the grade section, and then all of my students will return to that list. Okay. So this is how you manage licenses for students who have already been in the account, who are currently in the account now, probably from last year or previous years. But what if what you want to do is add a new student? Well, if you go under student administration, there's several ways: importing, single sign-on setups, and individual license or individual adding. In a little bit, I'm going to have our expert in importing and single sign-on talk to you about those options. So I'm going to talk to you about this much more basic option of manually adding the student setup. If you just notice in the upper left-hand corner, the button that is blue says Add Student. So if you click on Add Student, you will enter your new student's name. Okay. You can put in all of the information for that student. The user ID needs to be unique. It is good to have an email address in there if you have one, but it is not required. Notice there is no asterisk in front of that field. If there's not an asterisk in front of the field, that means it's not required. Now, it is under this middle section, this is where you come to select a license. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot to select the school. So that's why I wasn't able to select a license for a minute. I forgot to select the school for this record. Now, notice that it says a license is available in green, and you can say yes or no, I want to license this student. It will not let you leave this screen unless you make that choice. Okay, so if you say yes, now it wants you to select a lead teacher. So anyone who's in the account is going to be in this drop-down menu. Any staff member who's a account coordinator, school coordinator, teachers assigned, and teachers at this school are going to appear in this list. So you would select one. Okay. Now, if you are not sure who their lead teacher is yet, the groups haven't been made, you're not sure who's going to be in charge of them, you can still give this student a license so she can be placed by somebody, so she can get started with somebody, and you just deselect lead teacher. Notice that it says no lead teacher in red. It's not ideal to have students in there without a lead teacher. We want them to have a lead teacher. But there are times where we want them to be able to start even if you're not sure. So notice it's listed in red. And when I click save and add another, I get an error message, not saying that it's not possible. It's just confirming that make sure you want to do this. It makes the case for why a lead teacher is important to have assigned to the student. But if you are not sure of who that is at this point, it's best to leave it as no lead teacher, so that any teacher, once the students are assigned to their teachers, if there isn't a teacher assigned to a student, then any teacher can grab her as their own. Okay, so if I click yes, now my student is going to be added. And notice in red, these students, it says no lead teacher in the list because these are students who have licenses. They can start working, but a teacher hasn't claimed them yet. Okay. I want you to also notice from this screen that we can change statuses. You can change grade. So if you wanted to, you could come in here and change all of your fourth graders and select them all and change their grade all at one time. So again, you can still do it efficiently. You can still make those new school year administration changes efficiently. If you have some sites in your account who have started and some who haven't, then this is a good way to still do it efficiently, but to allow for the changes that some of your colleagues may have already made to that. I'm going to clear this selected again and get rid of my filter so that my whole list comes back on. Now, the last thing I want to mention in this section has to do with staff member administration. You can adjust staff member administration or staff members' names by clicking on their last name and making an adjustment. So, for example, under staff member administration, if you want Harriet Murray to be a school coordinator instead of a teacher, you can click on her last name and give her a different role. Okay. There is additional information in here about what tasks each role can do. So if you're not sure about who should be assigned what role, you can go ahead and look at that to get additional information. We don't care how many teachers you have in the account, how many account administrators you have in the account. It makes no difference to us, and it does not affect your account from a cost standpoint or a licensing standpoint. So do whatever makes the most sense. Obviously, account administrators can do the most things. School coordinators can do just about everything for their site, and then teachers can do anything for their students, but they are not able to do some of those site-wide tasks that I had already showed you. The other thing under staff member administration is that you are able to put teachers on teams or staff members on teams. So if some students have multiple teachers, maybe there's a team of teachers that deal with a handful of your students, you can put them on a team so they can have one lead teacher, but then everyone on the team with that lead teacher can see those students. So that's one way to grant access to multiple teachers to a student and still have them assigned to somebody. And then the other thing I just want to mention is that we have this reset password option over here. So if you've added a teacher and they say, I never got my activation email, I don't know how to log in, you can come in here and click this reset button next to their name and a new email will be sent to them. Tell them to check their spam and junk folders because sometimes they do get stuck in there, but that will unlock a user ID or reset a password. We also have unlock user ID. So sometimes a teacher enters their password too many times. I know you've done it at some point, hopefully not on an Apple iPhone because they really make it hard to get back in there. But if you enter a password too many times, it will lock you out. Sometimes it's a student who does that. Sometimes it's a teacher just trying to get back into their account. So an account administrator can click unlock to unlock that user ID. It will unlock eventually. I think it's a 30-minute time frame. Teachers can also call us and have us help them if the account administrator isn't available for assistance with that. But the best place to go first would be to somebody in-house for that. All right, I'll go back to my home page. And now we're going to get into the final section of our session today, additional tools and teacher tools and Read Live. It's on that last section in your 3-page handout, and we're getting near the end of our screenshot handout. And this is going to talk about, first we'll talk about rostering and single sign-on, and then we'll talk about importing, I believe. But I am going to hand the microphone over to our expert in those areas. You are much better served with her. Michelle's been with Read Naturally for many years. She's someone who maybe some of you have talked to, and she's going to walk us through some of those importing and single sign-on features that are available.
Thank you, Claire. Hello, everyone. The big question on everyone's mind is, well, how do I get my students in Read Live? How do I get them ready to work? So we provide, I will say, if you have more than 40 students to add to your account, I would will use these methods that I'm talking about. If you have less than 40, it takes less than a minute to add a student. I would just do it individually, as Claire described earlier. So that's just kind of a starting point. So rostering your students in Read Live. We have solutions with Clever and ClassLink, and I will talk about ClassLink first. So if you are a ClassLink district or school in the Read Live account, and Claire is logged in, I'm just going to walk her through the steps. We're going to go to, from the home page, we'll start at the home page, we'll go to student administration, and then we're going to go to single sign-on setup. Our first option here is ClassLink. So we're going to choose ClassLink. I'm going to just have and talk about ClassLink specifically. So our solution with ClassLink is rostering and single sign-on. So ultimately, in the end, what this means is that your ClassLink roster server is going to send Read Live any student updates nightly. So you don't roster in the application yourselves as administrators or teachers. This is done from the ClassLink side of things. And so on our ClassLink single sign-on setup page with the account administrator, the Read Live account administrator, along with the Clever administrator, is going to populate this page with their specific information from the district. So there's a ClassLink tenant ID that we require. And there is then in sections or step 3 there, this is where you are configuring a secure file transfer site where the student data is sent to, and where Read Live looks to find updates. So this page is populated between the Read Live administrator and the ClassLink administrator. And when they do that, they fill out all the fields, save at the bottom. We can't save because we don't have a ClassLink set up to save. But so right now, Claire will just click cancel. Also then on the ClassLink side, there's a push. You schedule a push. You schedule that update to be sent to us on a nightly basis. So that again is on the ClassLink administrators set of responsibilities. So ClassLink is the only solution we have that rosters automatically from your district ClassLink server to us. Okay, so just wanted to kind of put a little noose around that one and say that is how ClassLink works. Our next option is Clever. Clever is a single sign-on solution only, meaning we eliminate the necessity for a student to enter another set of credentials to log into our application. Excuse me. And so if you click on Clever there, Claire, the single sign-on, this is your Clever district ID. It's a 24 character number that will come from your Clever district administrator. You'll just simply copy that number or that string of characters, because it's everything. You'll copy that and paste it into this page here. Click save. Again, we don't have a Clever setup to save, so we're going to click cancel here. But so that has enabled the ability for us to continue on our journey to make single sign-on work. The second step is that the Clever administrator needs to share the Read Live app from the Clever Administrative Dashboard with students. Okay, so students should have a Clever dashboard, and in that dashboard, they should see a Read Live app. It's called Read Live. That's step number 2. So once that has done, I'm sorry, I missed a step. The Clever administrator is going to request first our Read Live app in their administrative dashboard. They will request the app. We will approve within an hour at the most. And at that point is when the Clever administrator will share the application with their students so that Read Live shows up in the Clever dashboard for students. Because our solution with Clever is just single sign-on, we do still need to roster the students in the application. And like I said before, if you have less than 40, do it individually on the student setup page. But if you are not, but if you are above 40, 50, plus, we will, a student import might be beneficial. So we're going to talk about importing. And I want to just mention, because Clever, well, no, I'm going to say, because ClassLink is the only automated rostering app, the other single sign-on solutions are Clever and Google Classroom. So again, with Google Classroom, it's a simple, you would just click save at this time to enable the opportunity to do Google single sign-on. But again, it's only a single sign-on. We still need to roster. And so again, the same rostering applies to Google as it applies to Clever, in that you need to add individually less than 40 students, or by import 40 and above students. So right now we'll talk about doing that specific import or creating that import file. So we'll go back to the home page. We can go back home. Again, we'll stick to student administration. And here are our options to, to roster the account. We'll click student import. And here are the steps. In step 1, there is a link to the importing student data. I want Claire to click on that if you could. And this is really the nitty gritty of, the exact characters that are allowed in a field, the very specifics of how the import file should work. On page 2, if you just want to skip ahead, is our template that you can download. So Claire will just click on that, and let's just open it quickly. And this is what you'll start with. This can be edited in Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel.
I apologize, everyone. I just accidentally closed it. We're reopening it.
Okay.
Sorry for that.
No worries. There we go.
Here it comes.
All right. So this is what the export or the template looks like. All of the column headings are going to stay as they are. Don't edit, don't move, just leave them as they are. Not everyone requires data, and Claire will show you which ones are required here. So we're going to start with student first name is required. Student last name is required. Student grade. Student user ID. Student password, and optionally student email. Okay, and we'll talk about the optional component of this. In these fields, just want to talk about, I think first name, last name, grade are pretty specific as to what they are, but I want to talk about the student user ID and the student password. Okay, so students have four ways to log into Read Live. They have a ClassLink icon in their dashboard. They have a Clever icon in their dashboard. They have a special a link in a Google Classroom that they could click on to log in. And again, those all include single sign-on. So additional user ID and password is not required with those three options. They would just click those icons and they would get logged in. Option number 4 is to use our native login, our student module. It's web-based. We have an iPad app. And so because of that, we require a student user ID and a student password, okay? If you're doing any of those other ClassLink, Clever, or Google, these will be overridden, but we do require them to log into our application, and so they are still yet required in this import. So the student user ID can be unique. Well, it has to be unique for each student, but it can be a student ID number. It can be, first name, last name, whatever you decide. Can be the student user ID. For ease, I would say if you have 40 or more students and you've already filled out this column, I would copy the column and paste it in your student password column, so that the student user ID and the student password are the same, and be done with it. Again, if you are using our native login, our readlive.readnaturally.com, they're clicking the student module. This is the user ID and the password that they will use there. Again, just to reiterate, if you are a ClassLink, Clever, or Google account, these two fields, D and F, student user ID and student password, would be overridden. The key to those three solutions, ClassLink, Clever, and Google, is the student email address. This is why we say it's optional, but it is not optional if you want to do any of those single sign-on solutions. That is what connects the student to the single sign-on, is the student email address. So enter the student email address in this field if you intend to be using Clever, ClassLink, or Google. Student email is not implemented or used in our native login at readnaturally.com and in our student module. So the other fields are optional. They are contact information. If they are filled out, it would be you would be able to email parent or guardians from within the application. They are free form text. In contact 1 would be father, or it could be dad, or mom or mother, and first name, last name. The email is the only thing that we're looking for, is a valid email address. And you have up to 2 that you can put in for each student. Once you have completed this list, you've entered all your students, you would save your file onto your desktop or your downloads, or wherever you would like to. And then what we'll be doing is going back to the ReadLive application, because now we've saved our CSV. We are ready to import those students. So we're back to our student import file. We're going to click browse to our file. We'll start with the with error, just to show you what an import looks like when there are errors. So we choose the file. You're choosing the school that the students belong to, and we'll just choose Northview. And next. So it tells us errors present. Please review the errors. We need to correct them and try again. So let's review. And I'm just going to scroll down, and anything that is an error is highlighted in yellow. So wherever your problems are, they are indicated in yellow, and the number in the row corresponds to the row number in your Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet. And if you hover over the yellow area, Sometimes takes a little while, so be patient. It tells you what happened. Required field is missing. So it's a required field. We don't have any data in it, so that's the problem. It could be a duplicate email address if the email address was highlighted. So what you need to do is cancel out of this import, go back to your CSV and update or change those errors, make those errors correct, and basically browse again. So we'll just click browse one more time. This time we'll go without error. Selecting the school again, just to note when you are importing, and if you have multiple schools in your account, it is a separate import for each school. So we'll click next. And now we see a file that has no errors. It tells us to review what we have here. It's just telling us what I have in my CSV file as far as the first name, last name grades. So we'll just click next. It says looks okay. And we'll say yes, proceed with scheduling. I want to note that imports are scheduled overnight. We don't want to impact our production environment with importing during the day, so we schedule them at night. And we'll just verify and say, yep, that's good. And now that import has been scheduled, you will get an email confirmation with the status of the import once it has completed. If you have any errors or have any trouble with your imports or you're getting errors, please contact us. We can help you. We generally can answer the call on the first rings or so. So reach out if you have any trouble with any of those importing options. I want to just clarify again, we have the options that we have as ClassLink, which is rostering and single sign-on. So ClassLink administrator and the Read Live administrator are creating the roster in ClassLink and sending that to us nightly. Clever is single sign-on only. We eliminate the need for a student to enter credentials. So the steps are for the Clever administrator to request our Read Live app. We will approve the request. The Clever administrator will share that app with students, and then students are imported into the application or individually added. Google Classroom. Claire, I didn't mention the link, so if we click on Google Classroom again, and then click on setting up Google Login, on page 2, there is a special link that you need to share with your students. It's that link right there that Claire is pointing to. This is what is going to get your student into Read Live. And again, it's the Google email address matching the Google or the email address in Read Live. I think that covers it. Not sure if there's any questions out there, but please reach out to us. Technical support 800-788-4085 or email us at support@readnaturally.com. Back to you, Claire.
Thank you, Michelle. Our tech support is fabulous, and you get to talk to an actual person quickly, so don't hesitate to call us. We do have a lot of training options, free online courses, free recorded webinars, free live webinars, student training videos. On our readnaturally.com website, you'll notice that there's a heading called training, and if you hover over it, it will give you a drop-down menu, and that's mostly training for staff, but there's also the link to student training videos in there. We also have some great help resources, short videos on how to do things, written instructions, so go to our help page to get information that way if you're interested. And we have just covered all these topics: optimizing your staff member module, account maintenance information, licensing and lead teacher, and then additional teacher tools. The tech support information is in that chat box, so please call and email as they come up. We are here to help you. We're on Central Time Zone Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Thank you all so much for all you do for your students. Please reach out as your questions arise, and we hope you have a great day. Take care.